So giving. Well, we all know how to give, and we all have to give if we're going to find the truth or find God or be that state that those words represent. We have to give. There are so many ways that we can give. The most important is not to hang on to my moodiness, not to hang on to my right, and not to be there, not to be here, to have a reservation in me. Now, I'm sure all of you know about reservation. We live probably half our lives in reservation. We reserve a bit of ourselves that we don't give to the situation or to anyone. And in that reservation, our mood and our self and our negative emotions hide. But it's very subtle, isn't it, reservation? I have a reservation about this person. I have a reservation about my work. That means that whenever this person's in front of me, or am reminded of her or him, I'll have some emotional feeling of dislike or lack of something. Or my work, a reservation about my work. I will not be able to give all, because as soon as that aspect of my work comes up, I will get a tightness, a contraction in me, a reservation. Now, self-consciousness, for instance, is a reservation. I have a reservation about myself. That means I have a contraction about myself in myself. And therefore, if I am self-conscious, I cannot give. Now, it covers every area of our lives. So to distinguish it, you have to be utterly up here, in there, seeing, am I reserved now? Have I got a reservation in me? Now, say you have a question and you don't want to ask it because you don't like asking in public, you've got a reservation. And that can then be translated into a fear. And fear always distorts our perception and our presence. Because eventually, to find God, to find peace, to find freedom, you have to be psychologically fearless. So all this comes out of reservation. And a reservation is not giving. So then we can come to the other part of the title of the day, not giving in. Giving and not giving in. The thing is not to give in to your reservation, isn't it? Not to give in to yourself. Because yourself, your pain, your doubts, your fears are all reservations, and they are yourself. So the way to give in the first instance is not to give in to yourself. Don't find a virtue, which most people do, in their negativity. Because when you're negative, you have to defend it, justify it to the external world, or just sink into it and become it, which is what many people do, so that they're depressed. Don't justify your negativity. Now, if you don't justify your negativity, it disappears. You can get rid of it. It means you don't give in to it. But the cure for not giving in, the way to not give in, is to give. So you see, they're two. One's the reciprocal of the other. If you give, then you won't give in to your reservation. So if you dislike someone and have a reservation about them, the thing is that you haven't got it straight with them. You haven't got your life straight with them. Why? Why haven't you? You haven't got it straight inside yourself, and you haven't got it straight inside them. Why do you have anything to do with them? If you are forced to have something to do with them, like at work, then why don't you endeavor to get it straight with them, what your reservation is about? But then that might engender fear or raise fear up in you. And so then you've got to break through your fear, which becomes a manifestation of your reservation. You have to take action to get rid of reservation, for action purifies. That's why you ask questions. If you have question in you, you have to ask it, unless you can dissolve it, and that's fine. But if you have a question in you and you don't ask it, you get a reservation in you. And if you have a fear of asking it in public, the reservation gets worse because you've got a fear in it. You know you should or want to ask the question, and you don't. So you get more reservation. Now that reservation doesn't go away. When it comes to dealing with your partner or your children, this reservation is a psychic entity inside you, and it's going to distort your perception. And although you'll feel that you're right, you won't be right, because in one part of your psyche you've got this unrightness. Now, I'm not trying to say that there's a place where everybody's right, but there is a place where I'm all right, and I don't have a reservation in me. And that's the place where there is no psychological fear of giving. So let's get it again. The cure for not giving in is giving. Not giving in to myself and my reservation. As long as I give, I won't have a reservation. And the more that I give, the more I will start to enjoy giving. It's one of those extraordinary things that as I start to really give, I enjoy it so much that I'll be turning around and I'll be wanting, quotation marks, to give. But I won't have to want to give, because there's opportunities every moment to give. Now, once you start the ball rolling of giving, it's very simple. But the trouble is, you mustn't give in to your reservation, because that interrupts the flow. So one is important to the other. So let us go back to basics. In the first instance, what have I got to give? My openness. Now, openness is not gushing out. Openness is just being open. Nothing necessarily coming out, but openness. Openness is a state. It doesn't need to have anything coming out of the openness. If I am open, then there's a sort of innocence in me. I'm not afraid of being vulnerable. People are very afraid of being vulnerable. That means they're afraid of being open. We're not talking about physical vulnerability to bullets, or physical vulnerability to being attacked or molested or something of that nature. We're talking about psychological vulnerability. The spiritual life, and spiritual fulfillment and attainment has to be the surrender every moment. For instance, the surrender of the need to think aimlessly. If I surrender that, that is a contribution to my spiritual presence. If I surrender or let go, because surrender means, another way of saying surrender is to let go. So to let go of the last moment, that is a continual process in the spiritual life, and that will bring you to the reality of being. So I must let go all the time. That's all you have to do, is let go. Until eventually it becomes a subconscious activity.
Therefore, you do not need to have to try anymore as you did in the beginning, when the effort was needed. And that's what becomes effortless. You've done it. You've made it your life. You love it. And you've given yourself to it by the practice in the beginning and the effort in the beginning. And gradually, you don't have to use any effort, because it becomes back to your natural state. For it was our natural state once in the beginning of time, to hold on to nothing.